My name's Nora. I'm 21. And last night, my parents erased me with a caption. Thanksgiving that year fell on 11/23. I had no idea a small date could close a whole era. I live in Denver. Product manager at a fintech startup. Too many tabs. Always on mute. My family's in Lancaster. Pennsylvania porches that lane. Holidays that smell like nutmeg and pine sol. I hadn't been home in 2 years. The distance wasn't just miles. It was the kind you carry in your chest when you laugh softer so someone else can laugh louder. Every gathering orbited my younger brother. Ryan. The golden child. Charming. Messy. Always forgiven. I was the dependable one who double-knotted everything quiet. Steady. Invisible. For as long as I can remember. If something needed fixing. It was my hands on it and his name in the thank you. 2 weeks ago. Mom called with a cheer I hadn't heard since grade school. Sweetheart. Please come home for Thanksgiving. Everyone's coming. Ryan and Kayla and the boys. Aunt Michelle. Even Grandpa Jim. We miss you. Her voice thinned. I know we haven't always given you what you needed. I just want us together. It disarmed me. My mother doesn't say sentences like that. I told myself it didn't matter. But a warm, foolish part of me uncurled. Maybe she meant it. Maybe something had shifted. I booked 2 tickets, me and my boyfriend. Owen. Southwest. $762 round trip. I texted Mom the itinerary and ordered dessert from her favorite place. August Bakery 3 maple pecan tarts. $68 each. Pick up at 10 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day. She replied with a dozen hearts and a line that made me grin. This'll be our best Thanksgiving ever. To prove I believed, I overdid it. I paid a $140 deposit to rent a short throw projector for a surprise video. I'd edited 30 years of home clips I digitized on my own dime. 79 hours of work. I Venmo'd Dad $200 for groceries because turkey prices were wild this year. I ordered a navy sweater dress that wouldn't wrinkle in a carry-on. Practical hope. Zipped and folded. Ryan. Of course. Had the prime slot. We'll get to Mom and Dad early, so the boys nap before dinner. He wrote in the family thread. Kayla added a photo of new pajamas for their toddlers. No one asked when I was landing. Habit. I pretended not to notice. If you want to understand our house, see the dining room hutch with glass doors. Inside the good plates and a squirrel-shaped mustard jar. Mom always called it the fancy condiment. It's funny, until you know how often the jars mattered more than the person holding them. I should have known when she asked me to handle logistics and asked Ryan to just bring your smile. The pattern had tally marks across years. 2015. Ryan's first car got repossessed. I co-signed a high-interest refinance so he could keep his job. 200 inches fees. You're so responsible. Honey. Mom said. He just needs a little stability. 2018 Kayla's boutique launch party shorted the caterer. I swiped my card for $1. 180 because it would be humiliating otherwise. Dad hugged me and whispered, "Family helps family." They mailed a glittery thank you. No repayment. 2020 shutdowns. Ryan's side hustle collapsed. He borrowed my old laptop and my Netflix login. Then my login to the login because you changed the password again. That's cold. Nor. I also covered their electric bill twice, $312 in January. $289 in February because the auto pay glitched. Small cuts. Clean up their messes. Applaud their stories. Fade out before the photos. Still, I wanted to believe this invitation meant something different. I wanted to bring Owen into a room where I wasn't the cast-off aunt or the free tech support, but a daughter. He's the kind of man parents like civil engineer. Soft manners. Steady. They'll love you. I told him. They love anyone who brings pie. We planned it like a minor operation. Fly Wednesday. Hotel instead of the house. Tarts at 10. Dinner at 2. Mom suggested we arrive around 1:30 so Ryan can settle the boys first. I joked about outsourcing tantrums. She laughed too hard and said, "Oh, Nora, you're funny when you want to be." Wednesday afternoon. I was rolling socks into my carry-on when my phone buzzed. A notification. Mom on Instagram. Of all places. She barely uses it. Mostly to like Kayla's posts. I opened the story out of habit. There they were. Mom, Dad, Ryan, Kayla, the kids, Aunt Michelle, Grandpa Jim. Gathered around the table, I grew up at the one with the heat scar from when I set down a soup pot without a trivet and got scolded for not respecting nice things. Candles, matching sweaters, a board of cheese and figs we can't afford. Her caption. Over a boomerang of clinking glasses. Core 4 plus our circle. Rehearsal feast. Rehearsal? For what? The next slide, a professional photo on my parents' porch. The photographer tagged at Paige Sims photo. Everyone smiling. My father's hand on Ryan's shoulder. The caption read, "The ones who keep this house standing." My face went hot. My chest went cold. The projector receipt sat open on my laptop. The tarts were paid for. The flights sat in my wallet app. And there was my family. Practicing gratitude without me. Naming themselves the load-bearing beams. Is this a joke? I asked the room. Of course it didn't answer. Owen stepped out of the bathroom with a towel over his shoulder. You're pale. What happened? They did pictures. And dinner. Tonight. Without telling me. And the caption, I handed him the phone. He read it. Jaw tight. Core 4. It's always been 4 when I'm not convenient. Call your mom. He said gently. I didn't. I opened Southwest. The cancellation fee stung $200 total, but I clicked through like I was cauterizing a wound. I emailed the bakery to donate the tarts to a shelter across town. I canceled the projector and ate the $40 service fee. I stood very still and listened to the small, ugly part of me sigh with relief. The bigger part just ached. At 6:11 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning 11:23, my phone started buzzing. First, a text from Mom, where are you? Heading to the church at 11 for Dad's surprise, vow renewal. You'll love it. Then the calls, 23 in the first hour. 14 more by noon. Ryan. Mom. Dad. Aunt Michelle. Kayla sent a selfie with a curvy arrow, and the words "miss you" like an influencer apologizing to fans. I let it ring until the quiet felt mean. Then I answered. Mom's voice came tight and sweet. Sugared with panic. Sweetheart, we've been so worried. The photographer asks if you're running late. We're doing a second round of family photos. Where are you? In the pause, an old muscle in me tried to flex the one that says forgive. Perform. Serve. But something steadier had taken its place. I thought about Dad's grocery reimbursement. Still pending. The projector deposit I'd never see. The squirrel-shaped mustard jar smiling from the hutch like a witness. I took a breath and said only 6 words. Ask your core 4 about it. Silence. Then the brittle laugh she uses when a cashier miscounts change. Don't be dramatic. Nora. I'm not. I said. I'm done. She inhaled. Sharp. After everything we planned. You planned. I said. You excluded. You captioned. Nora. She tried again. Softer. Now the old hook, you're stronger. Your brother. There it is. I said. And my voice didn't shake. Happy Thanksgiving. Mom. I hung up. Owen didn't touch me. He stood near. Quiet. Like you do with a frightened animal learning. It can open its own cage. The phone lit again and again. I turned it face down. Outside. Denver was bright and thin with cold. The kind of blue that makes you think hard decisions are clean. They aren't. They're sticky. They sting. You still make them. What I didn't know yet, what none of them knew, was that the caption wasn't the worst part. The vow renewal had a price tag with my name on it, and someone had already signed it. I didn't cry. I made coffee. I watched the steam try to leave. At 7:02 a.m., my credit card app pinged. Pending $2. 420. 16 Old Mill Catering. My stomach dropped. Another ping. 688美元. 50 Lancaster Floral Co. One more. Time stamped last night. 950美元. Nude Pie Sims photo. The porch photographer. My name on every line. My card on every swipe. Thanksgiving that year was 11/23. The dates would matter. Owen saw my face go flat. He didn't ask if I was okay. Phone. Bank. Now. I called the number on the back of my card. The hold music was aggressively cheerful. A comm rep came on. This is Kara. How can I help? My card's being used in Pennsylvania. I said. I live in Colorado. Those are not my charges. We went through the script. Yes. I had the physical card. No. He hadn't given my number out. She paused. I'm seeing Apple Pay tokens. Merchant used a save device. The device nickname is Dad's iPad. Aaron? Of course. 4 summers ago, I added my card to their iPad to order groceries during lockdowns. We were on FaceTime. Mom couldn't figure it out. You're our tech whiz, she'd said. I never removed it. I should have known. Kara froze the card. We removed it from that device. She flagged 5 transactions. $2. 420. 16 catering. 688美元. 50 flowers. 950美元. 00 photo. In 2 smaller ones, I had missed $375. 00 for cedar and lace rentals. 1美元. 000. 0 to Grace United Church. A neat round number. Gilt and clean font. Disputes take time. Kara said, I'll email affidavits. You'll confirm you did not authorize a family member. It was unauthorized. I said, whatever they tell you. I hung up. Owen slid a plate with toast toward me. Blackberry jam. Seeds and all. Scratchy and honest. The plate steadied me. I need proof. I said, not just bank logs. Vendors will talk to whoever paid. He said, I started with the florist. A woman answered on the second ring. Lancaster Floral. This is Bree. Hi. Bree. I'm calling about an order for Grace United today. Under Hart. The cardholder is Nora Hart. That's me. Oh, she brightened. The vow renewal. The mustard mums were your idea, brilliant with navy. We added eucalyptus at no charge. Your mom sounded stressed. Mustard. Always mustard. Could you email the invoice, I asked? For my records? Absolutely. She said. We have your Gmail from Apple Pay. My inbox chimed before we hung up. The PDF had my name. My Denver address. My phone. The notes column read, Client requested discreet billing. Surprise for Dad. Please do not ruin it. A soft slap. Next. The caterer. Old Mill Catering. This is Tasha. Hi. Tasha. I'm the cardholder for the Heart event. Right. She said. 46 plated meals. Turkey. Salmon. 2 vegan. Kids get butter noodles. Late headcount fee waived because of your donation to the church. Send the signed contract, I asked. Already did. She said. DocuSign to your address. It was in spam. I opened the audit trail. The signature was my name pretending. The IP matched my parents' cable provider. The security question was first pet's name, answer Clover. My 8th birthday dog. The one we buried without a marker because fuss is for other people. I forwarded everything to a new folder labeled Core 4. The name made my eyes sting. I called the church. A breathy volunteer answered. Grace United. Denise speaking. Hi. Denise, I'm confirming the $1,000 donation for the heart vow renewal. The receipt has my name. Yes, thank you, she said. Pastor Tom will bless you by name in the bulletin. Your mother insisted. Nora is making this possible. She said, we love when children honor their parents. I pressed my thumb into the table. Could you email the bulletin? She did. Clip art leaves. A verse on forgiveness. And under special thanks to our daughter Nora for sponsoring today's celebration. Sponsor, not daughter. Sponsor. On Instagram. The photographer had posted a flat lay at 643 A.M. Navere bon. Lace swatch. Rings. And a note card in mom's looping script. Today's the day we celebrate what matters. Tagged at Nora Hart. I never saw that tag. It was a ghost account mom made years ago to watch me when I locked her out. A blank circle with my name. Alish. Aunt Michelle texted next. S.O. Proud of you. Honey. What a gift. Your mom cried when she told us you insisted on paying. She finally sees how much we've done. She said. There it was. The shape of the lie, my card on their iPad. My name on their contract. Their story dressed in gratitude. I called mom. Voicemail. I called dad. He picked up on the third ring. Pumpkin. You used my card. I said. Flat. He sighed. We were going to talk after. It's a renewal. Not a wedding. Not a big deal. Your mother needed this. You charged $5. 433. 66. I said. You signed my name. You told the church I insisted. I told them you're generous. He said. It's a compliment. It's theft. I said. It's fraud. Don't use words you don't mean. He snapped. We're family. We're family. I echoed. That's why you thought you could. He changed tactics. Your brother said he'd pay you back after his bonus in December. We have a plan. Of course. Ryan, you should have asked. I said. We did. He said. When you put your card on the iPad, we've never taken without giving back. In what ledger? I asked. Show me. Silence. Then, you can be so ungrateful. He muttered. And hung up. I stared at the call log. The part of me that begged for crumbs went quiet. The part that keeps receipts woke up. I opened a new note timeline. 11,950 美元. 00 page seems photo deposit. 11,375美元. 00 cedar and lace rentals. 22,11美元. 000. Noel Grace United Church donation geteilt durch Booking. 22,11688美元. 50 Lancaster Floral Co. 23,012美元. 420. 16 Old Mill Catering. Day of. I pasted every PDF. I added DocuSign's audit trail. Screenshots of the Core 4 post. If you zoomed the porch photo, you could see the squirrel-shaped mustard jar grinning from a windowsill like the house itself was in on the joke. Owen watched me build the file. What next? He asked. Stop the bleeding. I said. Then tell the truth. Start with the photographer. He said. Remove your card. Cancel any future use. Forces a conversation. I called the number on Paige's site. She answered bright. Happy Thanksgiving, Paige here. Hi. Paige. I'm the cardholder for the Hart family. Please remove my payment method immediately and confirm in writing that no further charges will be processed. A pause. Oh. Is everything okay? Not really. I said. If my mother asks, tell her the cardholder canceled. She hesitated, then said softly. I saw the tag this morning. The account had no posts. I thought it was odd. Not my account. I said. Nothing about this is mine. I understand. She said. I'll email confirmation. My phone buzzed. Ryan. I let it go to voicemail. His words had the tilt he used when he wanted my last slice of pizza. Nora. Tiny miscommunication. Chill. Okay. We love you. Mom's losing it. You know how she gets. Call me. We'll square up after Christmas. Promisey. After the photos, after the posts, after the story hardened, I opened a new email. Subject unauthorized charge formal notice. To Mom and Dad. CC, Ryan and Kayla. Surgical. Dates. Amounts. Invoice. Apple Pay device removal. I will not attend today. I will dispute every charge. Do not contact my employer, my partner, or my friends. From now on, communicate in writing. I read it twice. I removed a line about the mustard jar. I hit send. Then I booked a one-way to Philadelphia. Tomorrow, 8:05 a.m. 219美元. Non-refundable. Not for a ceremony. Not for dinner. For the attic. For the boxes with my name and masking tape. Yearbooks. Clover's collar. Débat trophy. Proof I existed. Owen squeezed my hand. I'll come. You don't have to. I want to. Outside, Denver was bright and thin with cold. The kind of blue that lies and says hard choices are clean. They aren't. They're sticky. They sting. And you still make them. At noon, Mom posted a bouquet close-up. Mustard mums. Eucalyptus. The caption, grateful for the ones who show up. Comments flowed. Beautiful goals, Aunt Michelle wrote. And thanks to your generous girl, Nora. Kayla added 3 hearts. My name. Again. Us decoration. Not invitation. I closed the app. I packed a small bag. I printed Kara's affidavits. I slid everything into a folder. What I didn't write in the email was simple. I wasn't done with them. I was done being theirs. There's a difference. One ends a story. The other starts. One. Tomorrow, I'd step into a house that called me sponsor. Not daughter. I'd take what belonged to me. And I'd leave a different gift on the dining room table paper. Dates. Ink the kind you can't pose with. Can't post. And can't ignore. The airport at 6 a.m. felt like a waiting room for decisions. Stale coffee. Paper turkeys on glass. Owen and I didn't talk much. He handed me a granola bar. I handed him the affidavits. We moved like a team. On the plane, I drafted messages I didn't send. One to Grandpa Jim. One to Aunt Michelle. Delete. Delete. I kept one line in my notes. We tell the truth once. Then we leave. Philadelphia was pale and cold. The rental car smelled like lemon wipes. Lancaster sat in our west brown fields. A God is Good billboard with chipped paint. The sign for Grace United. The lot was full. Good. They were busy blessing a story. My parents' street was quiet. Maple bare. The blue house smaller than memory. The porch still had the third board creak. A wreath with navy ribbon on the door. I used my key. The lock stuck. Then gave. Cinnamon and polish. The dining room was staged like a catalog. Gold rim plates. Place cards and pretty loops. Mine too. Nora anchored with a sprig of eucalyptus. A seat for the sponsor. In case the sponsor changed her mind. The squirrel-shaped mustard jar sat smug in the center. The spotlight finds it every time. I stood there too long. My mother has taste. She can make ugly things look gentle. Where Owen asked. Attic. The attic stairs sighed. My bins were in the back. Labeled in Mom's careful block letters, Nora books. Nora school. Nora misc. I cracked the first one. Yearbooks. Debate medals. A shoebox of notes that smelled like middle school gum. I slipped Clover's worn red collar into my coat pocket. Then paused. The metal tag still had our address. No phone number. When I turned 8, Mom said a landline was too much noise. The second bin held the dented camcorder and a stack of mini DV tapes. Good. I'd spent nights digitizing these. Proof the past happened. Owen hauled bins while I checked one last box. Under packing paper, a blue binder, house files, emergency contacts, warranties, globe from the D.C. trip. It's always the small that hurts. When the car was full, I went back for one last look. The house held its breath. I took the folder from my tote timeline. Envoys, affidavits, the formal notice, and added one handwritten page. Effective today. I revoke all permission to use my name, accounts, devices, or identity for any purchase, contract, donation, or representation. This includes Apple Pay, DocuSign, church bulletins, social tags, and family lore. The disputed charges will proceed. Any further attempt will be reported. Repayment terms are attached. All communication in writing. No triangulation. I am your daughter. I am not your sponsor. Nora. I set the folder at Mom's seat. Then I left the mustard jar where it sat and looped Clover's collar around its neck. The red leather against yellow ceramic. The tag gave a small, bright clink. A bell for a ghost. Owen's steps were soft on the hallway rug. Ready. Almost. In the living room, the TV perched on the Apple TV home screen. My mother's ghost account had a fresh notification photo share from Paige. 8 thumbnails from last night's porch shoot. I didn't open them. I signed out of every app with my name. Netflix, DoorDash, Amazon, old habits, old leaks, close, close, close. Under church newsletters, on the coffee table, I found the vow renewal program. Thick cream cover. Inside the order of service, a poem about chosen love. And a line that knocked the air out of me. Song The Ones Who Truly Matter. Theme complete. A brand rollout. I put it back. On a sticky note. I wrote one sentence and stuck it to the folder. You get to tell your story. I get to tell mine. We were locking the door when the Buick pulled up. Grandpa Jim. Slow and steady. Aunt Michelle in a bright scarf. They froze when they saw us. Aunt Michelle recovered first. You came, she said, voice high with surprise. Honey, you look thin. I'm fine. The easiest lie I know. Grandpa walked around the hood like the world had time. He studied my face. Then Owen's. Then the bins in the car. He nodded once. You taking your things? His voice still held Ohio. Even after years in Pennsylvania. Yes. Just mine. He glanced at the house. Your mother's at the church making the poinsettias face out. Your father's practicing his vows in the mirror. He keeps smoothing his hair. I left a letter. I said. Aunt Michelle's mouth opened and closed. She stared at the welcome mat like it might have instructions. Your mother said, you sponsored the whole day. She blurted. Winced at her own words. And softened. She was proud. My laugh was short. She was careful. Nora, Grandpa said gently, you want me to stand with you when you tell them. I'm not telling them twice. He nodded like a man agreeing with gravity. All right. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small brass key on a green tag. I rented a storage unit last year. We clear our junk every winter. Take the key. If you don't want to haul these to Denver yet, park them there. Unit 214. I paid through February. The key clicked in my palm next to Clover's tag. Metal greeting metal. Thank you. Aunt Michelle dug in her purse. Produced a folded 25s. Laughed at herself. Put it back. She hugged me instead, laundry and peppermint gum. Text me when you're safe. I nodded. Grandpa squinted toward the house. When your mother was 9. She sold her best marble to buy a card for her teacher. Thought the class would be noticed if the card was nice enough. He looked at me. It didn't work. She never forgot. I'm not a marble. I know, he said. She forgot. We pulled away as the church bells started. Noon. The vow renewal hour. Owen turned left. Then, right toward the highway. In the mirror, the blue house shrank to a smudge. My phone buzzed. A new number. This is Paige. Your mom says you're confused. Do you still want the digitals delivered today? I typed deliver to the email on file. Remove any tags. Note that the cardholder canceled future charges. She replied with a single heart. Smart. Another buzz. Ryan. What did you do? Mom is shaking. Dad's gray. You need to come back now. We can hide the receipts. Fix the post. Say the florist comped it. You always make a mess bigger. Turn around. I typed one sentence. Check the dining table. Then, I blocked him. We stopped at the storage facility on the edge of town. Beige building. Humming. Unit 214 smelled like dust and chalk. We slid my bins into a corner. Owen labeled the tag with a Sharpie the manager lent him. Our names looked solid there. A place that wasn't borrowed. In the car, emails stacked up. Bank affidavits received. Caterer chargeback notice client dispute. Church. Forwarded by Denise clarification responsorship. She added a line that made me smile. Blessings on your boundaries. I wanted it printed on a dish towel. We checked into a cheap hotel off Route 30. Waffle maker in the lobby. I set the folder on the desk. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clean. Clean stings first. Then you breathe. At 3:17 p.m. Grandpa called. She read it. He said, "No. Hello." She tried to say the printer lied. Your father stared at the mustard jar until I thought he'd crack it with his eyes. Ryan said a word I won't repeat. Kayla cried. The pastor found me a chair. And? Your mother is deciding whether her pride is worth American Express calling her next week. A pause. She'll call tonight. Or she won't. But she heard you. I swallowed. The collar. She put it in her pocket. He said. Voice soft. She touched the tag like it knew her name. We were quiet. Then he asked. You want me to stop by the hotel? No. Thank you. He hesitated. Tell Denise. I like the towel sentence. He chuckled. Blessings on your boundaries. He repeated. Like a benediction. Sleep if you can. I lay on the ugly floral bedspread and stared at the popcorn ceiling. Owen lay beside me. Our shoulders not quite touching. The AC clicked on like a distant train. I thought it would feel like burning a bridge. I said, what does it feel like? Like building a door. I said, with a lock I can open? He slid his palm over mine. That tracks. Evening fell early. We ate diner eggs and pie because I wanted pie anyway. Blackberry. Seeds and all. Honest. Two teenagers in paper hats argued over a playlist. A little girl spun in a sparkly dress until her dad laughed and said, okay. Enough. Back at the hotel, I set the storage key and Clover's tag on the nightstand. Metal on plastic. A tiny clink. Steady and true. At 9:41 p.m. A knock rattled the door. 3 fast taps. Then 2. Owen looked at me. We weren't expecting anyone. I checked the peephole. The hallway was a stripe of yellow light and patterned carpet. No one in view. Then her voice soft. Sugared. Practiced. Nora, it's Mom. Open up. Sweetheart. We need to talk like family. I kept the chain on. Owen stood to my left. Phone aimed at the carpet. He tapped voice memos and nodded. Mom? I said through the crack. We talk with the chain on. Calm voices. No touching. If anyone else is here, they leave. A thin pause. I'm alone. She said. Syrup over gravel. Let me see you. I opened 3 inches. Navy coat. Puffy eyes. Lipstick perfect. In her right hand. My father's program. In her left. Clover's collar. She held it like it might bite. Please, she whispered. People are staring. It's a motel, I said. They've seen worse. I slid the chain free and stepped back. Owen stayed by the desk. She came in small. No perfume. Just cold air and church flowers. Her gaze swept the room and landed on my folder. She swallowed. You made a scene. I left documents. I said, that's not a scene. That's clarity. She set the program on the dresser. You humiliated me in front of God and our family. You humiliated yourself with my card and my name. Her jaw tightened. It was a vow renewal. 4 hours. Not a crime. You forged a signature. That's a felony. It was DocuSign. Still a signature, I said. It says I authorized. I didn't. She flinched. Lower your voice. I'm speaking normally. I pointed at the chair. She sat. The collar clicked against the wood. A metronome for this talk. Owen shifted. Then stilled. She clocked him. You, she said. You don't know our history. I know enough. He said. Even. I'm here to keep time. She focused on me. You hurt your father. He practiced his vows all week. He wanted you in the front row. You wanted the sponsor in the front row. I said. It reads better. You think everything is PR? You make everything PR. I said. You tagged a ghost account with my name. Her eyes flickered. Kayla set that up. Paige tagged it from your phone. I said. I have the screenshot. In the binder. Apple stuff. Nora card twice. She folded her hands. Pale pink nails. Not a chip. We were going to tell you. She said. When? After the photos. So, after the post hardened. I said. After the grateful comments. After the story was safe. She studied the carpet pattern. I needed it perfect. For who? For me. She said. Almost a whisper. Then, louder. For us? You have a, us. I said. It's in your caption. That was a joke. Typed by you. Sent by you. Paid by me. She looked at Owen like he might translate me into someone softer. He didn't. I brought terms. I said, placing a copy of the repayment plan on the table. You saw them. I did. She said. They were cold. They were math. I slid over a pen. Sign. We'll call it a loan. Wire on dollars. 500 by Monday. 5 p.m. The rest in 2 monthly payments. Post a correction tonight. Remove every tag with my name. Delete the ghost account. And text the family thread 1 sentence. We use Nora's card without permission. Then we start fresh. With boundaries. She stared at the pin like it might turn snake. That would kill your father. Truth doesn't break families. I said. Secret du. You always talk like a judge. I talk like the person who paid your bills. She lifted her chin. We paid for your braces. Grandpa did. I said. 3美元. Liu Bai. I have the bank image. You told him it was for the roof and used my scholarship refund for paint. Her mouth opened and closed. Who told you that? Hey did. I said. Today. Color rose in her cheeks. He's old. He misremembers. Mom. I leaned forward. Stop. Silence pulled up a chair. New angle. Ryan is drowning. She said. The boys. The mortgage. Kayla's store. He needed this day to feel like winning. You can afford it. You make. What do you make? Not your business. We are your business. She said. We made you. You raised me. I said. You don't own me. She touched the collar. I kept this safe all these years. No. I said. You put it in a box with no name and called that strength. Don't moralize it. She snapped. You left. You ran to Denver and came back with rules. I came back with receipts. She looked at the plan again. Shoulders dropped. I can do $1. Woo bye. She said. Your father can move some things. The rest will take time. 2 months. I said. She nodded. Fine. And the post? Fear flashed quick and real. They will devour me. They'll say I stole from my own child. You did, I said. She shook her head, as if I'd spoken another language. No, we borrow. In our family, money floats. It's how we survive. You always pretended you were above that. I pretended I was safe. I said. Different thing. A knock hit the door. Hard. Then again. Ryan. Open up. He barked. Mom. Move. My mother's eyes begged. Don't. I checked the peephole. Ryan's yaff looked like he'd sheet glass. Kayla behind him. Mascara stiff. A manager hovered at the elevator. I cracked the door 2 inches. This isn't a family meeting. I said. Leave. He leaned so hard the chain bit. You ruined today? Mom is sick. She's in my room. I said. Calm. Talking. You turned the church into a courtroom. He spat. You live for drama. You live on my card. He sneered. You owe us. We covered you in college. Scholarships covered me. I said. And Grandpa? I glanced at Mom. She stared at the bedspread. Kayla. I said. Level. Go home. She blinked. You're cold. My boys adore you. I adore them. I said. This isn't about them. Ryan slapped the jam. The manager finally walked over. Sir. He said. Low. Stand down or I call the police. Ryan laughed once. Call. My sister loves cops. I closed the door. The chain rattled. The manager's murmur moved them down the hall. My mother kept her eyes on the pin. They'll hate me. She whispered. They already do. I said gently. When you don't give them what they want. She looked up. Old hurt flashed. Then gone. You always find the ugliest way to say a thing. I find the truest way. I said. She reached for the pin. Stopped. 1 change. She said. I'll pay. I'll post. But I won't say stole. I'll say mistake. I mean, it wasn't a mistake. I said. Her eyes were glass. Let me have mistake and I'll do the rest. I thought about the audience. The comment section that raised me. The towel sentence blessings on your boundaries. Sometimes a compromise is a boundary with a hinge. Fine. I said. Use unauthorized. I do not. She exhaled like a valve opened. She signed. The script wobbled but held. She pushed the paper back. Now the post. I said. Hands shaking. She opened Facebook her stage and typed slow. Update on today. She read. In the rush of planning, we made unauthorized charges to our daughter's account. We are correcting it and repaying her. Grateful for accountability and the chance to do better. Family is learning. She looked at me. Add, please do not harass her. I said. She added it. She hit post. Her thumb hovered like it wanted a different life. Then she set the phone down like it weighed a brick. Delete the ghost account. I said. She winced. You saw that? I did. Tap. Hold. Delete. Gone? Remove my card from the iPad. I said. I did. She said. Your email said the bank froze it. I'll verify. Silence again. Not heavy. Just new. She rubbed Clover's tag with her thumb. I shouldn't have put her in the yard without a marker, she said, almost to herself. I thought you needed me to be strong. I confused strong with cold. She blinked. I'm sorry for that. My throat burned. 4 words I'd waited years to hear, spoken about a dog the size she could hold. Thank you, I said. Her phone buzzed. Notifications exploded. Comments. Shares. A text from Aunt Michelle, proud of you both. One from Grandpa then. Good sentence. Then Kayla. To Mom. We need to talk about the store card before Nora sees it in Credit Karma. I lifted my eyes. My mother's face went slack. Too late to hide. I opened the message. Which store card, I asked. Her mouth opened. Closed. Target, I said. Or the TLC line on your spreadsheet. I'd photographed that page. She flinched. That told me enough. Target. Maybe more. Answer, I said. Kayla set it up. She whispered. During the shutdown. We meant to change it to us because the discount. I let out a short, hard laugh. You opened a card with my information for 5%. She stood. Don't say opened. Say added. It felt like adding. We meant to tell you. Of course you did, I said. After the photos. Another knock. Softer. A man's silhouette. Not Ryan. My father. Nora. He said through the door. Let me in. Pumpkin. I didn't move. I looked at my mother. She looked at the pin like it could write us out. Next? I said. Eyes on her. Voice steady. We talk about the cards. All of them. Tonight. She nodded. Small. Once. Then. I said, nodding at the door. He can come in. I slid the chain back in place. I breathed. I turned the knob. Dad stepped in like the room might tip. Gray suit. Anti-loose. With church program bulging his pocket. He smelled like cold air and coffee. Ground rules. I said. We sit. We don't shout. We keep our hands to ourselves. We tell the truth the first time. He looked at Mom. Then at Owen. Then at me. You sent the whole church into a tailspin. You sent my credit into one. I said, pointing at the chair. He sat. His knees cracked. He looked surprised at his own body. Mom slid the repayment plan across the table. I signed. She said, we posted. We deleted. He read the top line. His mouth thinned. You think you're a banker now? I'm the person whose name paid for your party. I said, and for other things we need to close. I opened my laptop. Credit Karma filled the screen. I'd frozen my file last night. I hadn't gone deeper. I saved it for this room. Walk with me, I said. Turning the screen. Accounts. Target red card primary in. Heart opened with my SSN. TLC. Supplier net 30 business line. AIN TLC. SSN on file mine. Foundry Business Platinum opened 2 months ago. 1 I recognized. 2 I didn't want to meet. 1 had already dinged my report. Explain target. I said. Mom's voice was small. Discount. You opened a Target card with my SSN for 5%. I said. Don't say opened. She whispered. Say added. It felt like adding. During shutdown, we meant to change it to us. How long has meant lasted? Dad rubbed his jaw. A year. Year and a half. 20 months. I said. Reading the open date. With 2 late pays. Both reported. He shrugged like it was weather. Your score is fine. It's mine. I said. Fine or not is not the point. I pointed to the next line. Supplier nettoyant. Dad shifted. Temporary. We used your profile to get terms while Kayla was new. We meant to move it. How temporary? He stared at the carpet. Since spring. I scrolled. In this I tapped Foundry Business Platinum. Application from the iPad. 2 months ago. EIN is the store's. SSN ends in my 4. Billing to your address. He worked his jaw. We needed a float. Inventory before Black Friday. You had options. I said. You chose my number. It was just numbers. He said. We weren't stealing your face. It's my life? I said. Same category. He leaned back like the chair had become a wave. You always did have a taste for punishment. I have a taste for order. You mistook that for cruelty. He glanced at Mom. She didn't rescue him. She looked tired in a new way. Smaller. As if truth had let some air out and she decided to let it. I slid a set of pages across the table. Identity theft affidavits. I said. Both of you signed. You'll attach them to the target. The supplier line. The Foundry card. You'll close all 3 within 48 hours. You'll remove my name from any utilities, subscriptions, logins, or devices. You'll email confirmations here. I tap the address. And you'll pay me back on the schedule. No grandpa. No gifts that happen to match the amounts. No triangulation. One word caught him. Without grandpa. Do not triangulate. I said. He isn't your ATM or my conscience. He wanted to help. Dad said. I talked to him. I know. I said. He rented me a storage unit. He also told me about the braces. So please don't use him as a wallet or a witness. He rubbed his temples. You have made everything hard. No. I said. I've made everything visible. He gave me the look that had kept me obedient at 7 and compliant at 27. It slid off like rain. He turned to Mom. We can't sign this. If it gets out, it's already out. She said quietly. I posted. He blinked. You what? I posted the truth. She said. Close enough. He stared at the crease in his program like it might offer scripture. Then he set his jaw and reached for the affidavit. He read. He hovered. He signed. A thick rush of ink. He added the date. Happy now, he said. No. I said. Relieved. He looked older. And this time it wasn't a trick of light. We didn't do this to hurt you. He said. We did it to keep the roof on and the store open and the boys' Christmas decent. You left. And we learned to hold the house together with tape and hopes and other people's passwords. We forgot there was a difference. There is. I said. He nodded once. A tiny concession. What now? Now we finish. I said. iPad. Logins. Closures. Screenshots. Bring me the device. We strip it. We pull my data like weeds. Mom stood. She picked up Clover's collar, paused, and slipped it in her coat like a promise she didn't know how to say. I'll be back in 20. When the door closed, the room exhaled. Dad kept his eyes on the wood. Your brother told me to scare you. He said. He said you'd fold. He said you couldn't stomach being the villain. I'm not the villain. I said. He didn't argue. He looked at Owen. At the steady phone. At the folder. At my hands. You love that dog. He said. To the words falling like coins you forgot you were holding. I buried her too shallow. Raccoons. Your mother said she ran away because grief made her mean. I said we couldn't afford a marker because shame made me cheap. I was wrong both times. I hadn't planned to cry. The tears showed up anyway and stopped at the rim. Thank you. I said. Because the words needed somewhere to land. He nodded. I'll fix what I can. He said. It won't be everything. It never is. I said. Start anyway. Mom came back hugging the iPad like a hymnal. She also brought the house binder. Seeing Apple stuff iPad dad email. Nora card. Netflix. Nora. DoorDash Nora underlined twice hit harder in ink than in a photo. She handed both to me without commentary. We sat on the bedspread and worked line by line. Apple ID. Removed. Payments. Removed. Autofill. Cleared. DoorDash. Logged out. Amazon. Logged out. Netflix. Logged out. Target app. Authorized users. My name glared. Remove. Confirm. A red banner popped up. This change may affect discounts. Mom exhaled like a leaking balloon. Supplier account. I said. Dad called on speaker. We listened to cheerful hold music. A rep came on. Dad read what I wrote. Without embroidery, we opened this in our daughter's name without permission. We are closing it today. We will be responsible for any remaining balance. The rep asked for me. I gave the last 4 of my SSN. The PIN, and emailed the affidavit while she typed. Account closed. She said. Bureau updates in 30 to 45 days. Mom covered her mouth. Not horror. Awe. It can be that simple. It can be that clear. I said. Foundry Business Platinum took longer. Supervisor. More questions. A security prompt Mom could answer in her sleep. Then status closed fraudulent. Something in my chest untied half a knot. We took screenshots of every confirmation. Date. Time. Names. I saved them to the folder that used to be Core 4 and renamed it Ledger. My phone buzzed with Grandpa's name. I texted back working. Thank you. He sent a photo of his porch at dusk. A mug. A paperback. A tiny mustard stain on his cardigan. It made me laugh. Life leaks. You wipe what you can. When the last account was shut, Mom pressed 2 fingers to her temple. I feel like I've been holding a plank above my head, and someone finally said, "Put it down." End quote. That's what lying does. I said, not cruel. Just naming. Dad cleared his throat. First transfer Monday. He said, I'll sell the snowblower if I have to. Ryan can use a shovel. Builds character. Mom shot him a look that was more love than scold. He can use the boy's sled. The room almost smiled. It startled me. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced. Grimaced. Showed me without speaking. Ryan, take it down. People are asking questions. Kayla's mom called. Fix it now, or I go live. Kayla, she doesn't get it. She's ruining us. I typed to the family thread from my phone. Confirm receipt of the repayment plan and closures by EOD tomorrow. I attached 3 PDFs. Then to Ryan alone. If you go live. Ego police. 3 dots. Then nothing. Silence felt better than a fight. Mom tucked her face into her hands. Not to cry. To think. When she looked up, her eyes were steadier. I'll handle him. She said. He's been my project too long. You taught him to rely on captions. I said. She didn't flinch. I did. She said. I'm stopping. Quiet settled. Plein air. No syrup on it. Owen stretched. We're meeting Grandpa in the morning. He said. To move Nora's boxes. He offered his driveway for whatever trunk scene needs to happen. Dad frowned. Trunk scene. Final signatures. I said. Keys. Receipts. Clean break. He nodded. I'll be there. Mom hesitated at the door. If I come? She said. Will you let me keep the mustard jar on the kitchen counter, Clover's collar on it? Not in the hutch. Where I see it. I thought of that jar. Smug in every photo. I thought of the collar ringing against it like a bell. I thought of memories sticking to strange shapes. Keep it. I said. On the counter. Every day. Relief crossed her face like sun. Tomorrow. She said. They left. Owen slid the chain and handed me water. I set the bottle on the nightstand beside the storage key and Clover's tag. Metal tapped plastic. A tiny, honest clink. You okay? He asked. I'm something. I said. Okay, adjacent. We turned off the lamp. The AC ticked. The hotel sign seeped pale through the curtains. A notification from Page Digital's delivered. I didn't open them. Another from Denise. We love the post. Boundaries are holy. That towel sentence again. It made me want to laugh and embroider. I fell asleep thinking of Grandpa's Buick. Cold metal, papers on a trunk lid, pins scratching clean lines, keys changing hands. The sound a lock makes when the right person turns it. In the morning, we'd draw the last line. Then we'd see who stayed on which side. Morning came thin and gray. Frost on the grass. Breath in little clouds. We drove to Grandpa's. He had the Buick backed in. Trunk up. Thermos on the bumper. Aunt Michelle waved her bright scarf like a signal flag. Coffee, Grandpa said, handing me a tin cup. No sermon. I smiled. Small. Enough. We spread papers across the cold metal. Repayment plan. Affidavits. Screenshots. A short list titled Final Items. Keys. Logins. Anything that still carried my name. Dad arrived first. He looked like he hadn't slept. He set a printed transfer receipt on the trunk. Email. 500 transfer complete. First installment. He said. Voice rough. Thank you. I said. No sugar. No sting. Just that. Mom pulled in behind him. No grocery bag. No props. She walked up with her phone in both hands and showed me a photo of the mustard jar on the kitchen counter. Clover's red collar looped around its neck. Morning sun on yellow ceramic. A bowl of clementines beside it. I kept it there. She said quietly. Not in the hutch. I will look at it every day. Good. I said. We worked the list. Dad handed me the iPad passcode on a sticky note. Mom gave me a screenshot of the ghost account deletion and a photo of the target removal screen. We took pictures of everything. Grandpa dated each page in tidy block numbers. Aunt Michelle initialed as witness, then dabbed at her eyes like she'd sprung a leak. House key, Grandpa asked. I slid my copy off my ring. The metal was worn smooth. I set it on the trunk between us. Mom flinched. You can keep it. She blurted. Not now. I said. She nodded. No argument. Growth? Pen clicked. Paper rasped. We signed the last line. The sound was clean. Ryan's truck rolled up too fast. He parked crooked. Jumped out hot. Kayla trailed him. Phone up. Hair perfect and hard. He didn't say hello. You. He pointed at me. You broke, Mom. Grandpa stepped between us like a door that had decided to be a wall. Morning. Ryan. Use your church voice. Move. Gramps. Don't call me that when you're acting like a child. Grandpa said. Not loud. Solid. Ryan looked past him to the papers. Kayla. He said. She hit live. A red dot blinked. Comments floated. I chose silence. Hands in coat pockets. Owen at my shoulder. Steady. Aunt Michelle angled her body toward the camera like a guard. Dad's jaw worked. He didn't step in. Yet. Here we are. Ryan told the lens. Smile wrong. Family drama. My sister's doing a smear campaign. Thinks she's a prosecutor. Wants attention. I let him fill the air. He always needed the volume. Mom looked from the phone to me. Something unclenched in her face. She took one step forward. Ryan. She said. Stop. He laughed. You posted a confession. You're panicking. She turned to the camera. We used Nora's card without asking. She said. Voice calm and clear. We added her to accounts. We closed them. We are paying her back. Kayla's mouth fell open. The comments went feral. Then slowed. Hearts appeared. A few good for you. Then quiet. Ryan sputtered. Mom. What are you? Truth. She said, "We are done hiding." At pivoted. Kayla's store. We'll sell what it can afford. Mom said, "Not with Nora's credit." Dut stepped beside her. He didn't grab the phone. He didn't pose a. He looked at his son like a man who had found a mirror he'd avoided. "Enough," he said. One word. Heavy. Kayla's thumb hovered. She ended the live. Her hand shook. "Give me the business card," I said to Ryan. Not angry. Not pleading. Just the ask. He stared. A kid finally meeting a rule that sticks. He pulled the Foundry Business Platinum from his wallet and slapped it on the trunk. It skidded and clicked against the thermos. "And the target," I said. "If you have it." He tossed the red card. It missed and landed in the gravel. Grandpa bent, picked it up like a cashier, and dropped it into my folder. Ryan's face crumpled, then hardened, then cracked again. "You're cruel," he said. "I'm clear," I said. He barked a laugh. "Clear gets you alone." "Sometimes alone is peaceful," I said. He looked at Dad. "Say something." Dad held his gaze. "I'm done choosing the loudest voice," he said. "Go home." Ryan didn't move. Kayla tugged his sleeve. "It's over," she whispered. He let her guide him back to the truck. Gravel spat. Pride too. Silence settled. Birds took the stage. A plane stitched a white line across the gray sky. Aunt Michelle blew out a breath. "Well, I need more coffee." We moved the last boxes from Grandpa's garage to our car. He closed the trunk with a soft thud. A period. He held out his hand. I put my house key in his palm. Then he closed my fingers back around the storage unit key I already carried. "Keep it," he said. "Empty or full, a place is still a place." I slipped my hand into my pocket where the two bits of brass clicked like a handshake. Quick hugs. No speeches. Grandpa smelled like paper and winter and aftershave. "Visit when you want," Aunt Michelle said. "Not when you're summoned." "I will," I said, and meant it. Owen and I drove toward Route 30. We passed Grace United. The letterboard out front had a new line in Denise's careful caps, "Boundaries are love." I laughed. I couldn't help it. At the hotel, I scanned the transfer receipt and filed it in Ledger. I called the bank. The rep confirmed the disputes were active. "Affidavits verified," she said. "Bureau updates within 2 cycles." 2 cycles? I could breathe with that. We stopped by the storage unit. I opened 214 and looked at the bins stacked neat in the corner. My name in tape. My handwriting from other years. I pulled the camcorder box. Pressed play. The tiny screen lit with my 8-year-old face and Clover's tail. Mom's voice behind the lens. Young and sweet. Smile. Nor. Dad's laugh somewhere off. Ryan toddling by in a diaper. For a second, the both times lived in that humming beige room. Then the clip ended. "Denver?" Owen asked. "Denver," I said. The flight home was quiet. A woman knit a baby hat in 19C. Loop. Pull. Loop order from string. Healing isn't that tidy. But the motion felt right. Back in our apartment, I set Clover's collar on the bookshelf. I printed Denise's line and taped it inside the mug cabinet. "Blessings on your boundaries." It made me smile every morning after. On Monday, the second transfer hit. Another $1. Woo-bay. Mom added a note I didn't expect. We kept the jar on the counter. "I see it. I'm trying." She attached a photo. Sun, across yellow ceramic. The collar bright and red. It looked almost beautiful. I replied with one sentence. "Thank you for doing what you said." I muted the family thread. I answered Aunt Michelle. I sent Grandpa a picture of Denver snow. He wrote back, "Your sky looks honest." I wrote, "Today?" "Yes." A week later, Ryan forwarded a job posting. Warehouse supervisor. Decent pay. Early hours. Thinking about it. He wrote. I sent a thumbs up. No lecture. No money. Just that. Pages linked to the digitals sat in my inbox. I opened it alone. My parents on the porch, navy. Gold. The old blue house behind them. They looked like people who loved each other and had told lies to get there. They looked like people who could learn. I saved one image. Not to post. To remember what I changed. Spring came. The supplier line dropped off my report. The Target late pays stopped showing. The Foundry account read closed fraudulent. I set text alerts on every account I own. I taught Owen how to freeze and thaw credit. We wrote a rule on a sticky note on the fridge. No secret accounts. No secret captions. I flew back once. Not for a holiday. For me, Grandpa met me at the diner. He wore the cardigan with the mustard stain like a badge. We ate eggs and blackberry pie at 10 a.m. A little girl spun between booths in a sparkly dress. Her dad laughed. Okay. Enough. I had heard that line before. It didn't pinch this time. Driving past the old blue house, I saw the porch the same and the hydrangeas still sticks. Through the window, a flash of yellow on the counter. The collar caught the light. It shone. I didn't stop. I didn't need to. I turned down a side street and let the town get small in the rear view. Back home, I told the story. Not for pity. For anyone who's been cropped out and called family anyway. For anyone used as a quiet wallet. For anyone who thinks a caption is the truth. Have you ever been cut out of the picture in your own family? Tell me in the comments your story might hand someone else the key they need. Here's what I learned. You can cancel a flight and still arrive where you need to be. You can be generous and still say no. You can love people who hurt you and still lock your door. You can loop a collar over a jar and make it mean something new. And when someone asks why you didn't come to dinner, you can answer with 6 words that save your life. Ask the ones who truly matter. Then you go matter to yourself. Story 2. I never asked for the $4,000 tech device my affluent boyfriend gifted me, then yelled at me when I didn't use it. Phoned me a dozen times when I went to the gym at midnight. And, despite my request to stop, wouldn't stop stroking my thigh in public. I'll call my boyfriend X. He hails from a rich and influential family in my city, which will be important later. Things began off lovely. He was usually kind, courteous, and gregarious. But I'm beginning to see certain problems that make me doubt everything. In the first incident, he became angry with me because he thought I wasn't showing my appreciation for a costly gift. I spent around $4 Kelvins on a specialist tech device that he gave me. I had never shown any interest in this device, so I was a little taken aback. He had never questioned me about it, and I'm not at all tech savvy. Additionally, using this device takes a lot of effort and experience. Sincerely, I was also worried about how much it had cost and would have just asked him to bring me something cheaper if I had known. Anyway, I still thanked him and told that I appreciated it very much. He asked me whether I had used it yet a week or so later, and I said that I hadn't yet, but I will use it eventually. He became irate and kept asking me whether I had wasted his time, money, and effort. He also told me that I should simply get rid of the situation if that was the case. The second incident occurred when I was at the gym at midnight and he blew out at me. I always make sure to visit the gym on a regular basis since I place a high value on fitness. I often leave immediately after work, which finishes at 6 o'clock. But life occurs sometimes. Dinner, overtime, and a get-together are what friends desire. Reading, viewing films, etc. diverts me. So I leave later. I went around 1:03 p.m. One day, I told him I was going to the gym before I left. All right? Then silence. He said. I thus thought he was working on his own. And off I went and had a wonderful exercise. I finished around 1:20 a.m. I looked at my phone and saw that he had left 12 missed calls. When I phoned him back right away, he yelled at me and demanded to know why I hadn't been picking up the phone. I knew the time. didn't I? Wasn't I aware of the impression I was making by hanging around with other sweaty, half-naked males at this hour? He was too old to be following his lady around in the middle of the night, etc. To be honest, I was surprised by this since, even when we first began dating, I told him when I went to the gym, even if it was late, and he seemed to be okay with it. In the third incident, when I asked if we could reschedule for an hour later, he informed me he didn't feel desirable or beautiful. On Saturday afternoon, we were going to get together. He contacted me on Friday night, and we ended up speaking on the phone until around 3 in the morning. As a result, I slept in too late on Saturday and woke up late. I contacted him to let him know that I had overslept and that I would likely be taking an additional hour or two to visit. He informed me that he was the only one who was excited and that he thought I no longer seemed interested in him or our relationship. I made an effort to explain that it wasn't true. All I needed was more time to myself. I only get to sleep in on the weekends. Nevertheless, and he informed me that we didn't spend enough time together and that he didn't feel loved in our relationship. Context: I spent the weekend at his incident number 4, and we often get to see each other one day throughout the work week. He warned me that I would start a quarrel with him. Ice cream was being served to us. Everything was going well, and we were laughing. We were seated in the ice cream shop when he jokingly placed his hand on my knee, which I don't mind. Actually, I think that's sweet and cheeky. I ordered him to stop as he began to slide his hand further up my thigh. I continued to laugh and smile. He was unaware, and I said, "Stop. Cut it out." It continued. However, the atmosphere instantly soured when I informed him I was going to shout and added, "Stop loudly." He also said that I could have started a fight with him. What if he had been assaulted in a negative reaction? And he struck back, and there was a chance for problems for everyone. The fifth incident. When I spoke to another person, he became irate. We just took a vacation and booked an 8-9 hour trip. A considerable amount of time to spend with the same group of people, visiting the same locations and engaging in the same activities. Another man on the same trip, who I'll call a guy our age, was traveling alone when his ex started chatting about current events, sports, work, and other male-related topics. They and I seemed to get along rather well. I simply relaxed and left them be because I was glad that my ex had acquired a friend and they were getting along. I also asked him about his thoughts on the tour and what more he planned to do while on this trip as we were leaving at the conclusion of the tour, etc. Throughout our chat, my ex kept interrupting and asking me sudden, pointless questions that had nothing to do with what I was talking about with A. I was absorbed in my talk. Therefore, I wasn't too receptive. After we returned, my ex informed me that he thought I had neglected him and was more focused on A than on us. He also claimed that if we had been back home, he would have ordered A to go lost so that the two of us could simply spend time together. However, because we were in a foreign nation, we would have been in serious trouble if A had responded negatively. They got into a fight, and we were all taken to the police station. No one in this country knew who he or his family were. In the sixth incident, he asked me to put sunscreen on him as he didn't want to get his hands filthy. He first asked me to apply sunscreen on his back. Since he is unable to reach it on his own, I'm okay with assisting him. I thought it was amusing and princess-like of him to just tell me to go ahead and finish the remainder. So I did. However, I was becoming weary of it by the third day of our journey, and advised him to apply sunscreen on his own. If he couldn't reach, I would assist him with his back, but he could definitely do the rest by himself. He made a frown and said, "Well, this is new," I remarked, "but my hands will get dirty." "Oh? So, it's okay for me to get my hands dirty, but not okay for you," he said. I've never dated a female like this before, but I remained firm and didn't put sunscreen on the rest of him. The seventh incident. He said he was troubled by my background. I was really pious and sheltered when I was little. A few years ago, I discovered that I had no knowledge about dating, being physically involved, etc. I thus ended up hooking up casually for a time before deciding that casual isn't for me. Instead, I concentrated on dating someone just to get to know them better without having sex with them and on seeking out long-term partnerships. I told X straight out that I had a period of casual encounters prior to meeting him. He appeared okay when I told him about it at the time, and he informed me that he had performed similarly throughout his college years. We just spoke about it again, however, and he told me that he thought that what I had done bothered him and that it's different for males than for female. I had been honest. I retorted, "It was a while ago, and regardless of anything from the past, I am content and at ease with who I am now. If this was a problem for him, he shouldn't have dated me." I really informed him that he could go on immediately if this was something he couldn't overcome. He kind of broke up with me in incident number 8, but he didn't follow through. He hesitated for a while before responding, "Well, I did try." I wasn't sure if he was requesting a breakup. So I said, "Does this mean we're done?" He replied, "I guess." When I informed him that he should go on if he couldn't get beyond my sexual history. As he began to gather his belongings, he kept saying things like, "I'm sorry we couldn't make it work. I did really have a good time," etc., etc. I told him, "You don't have to apologize or try to make me feel better. It's fine." "Really?" He paused and asked, "Are we both sure that this is what we both want?" I replied, "Well, it seems like it's what you want." He said, "No, it's not what I want. I thought it was what you wanted." And I explained that I intended for him to go on if he couldn't get beyond my past. But otherwise, I was ready to keep our relationship going. In the end, we decided not to split up. Funny. He went on to say that he was troubled by the ease with which I might have let things go. So, I'm not sure. Is this real? Or am I simply being irrational? Can we make this work? Or are we still getting to know one another? Comments in which the operator has responded to comment 1. After 3 months of dating, you had 8 instances of him being a fool, jealous, and irrationally angry, including a breakup. Indeed. My dear, these flags are very red. Indeed. Empty. 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 Second comment. Yes. There are a number of warning signs here. There is, in my opinion, some love bombing going on as well. Using pricey presents to instill a feeling of debt, not to mention the boundary pushing. This man is just awful. Oop here. For some reason, Reddit won't allow me access my second account when I'm on my phone. You're correct. In fact, being with him has made me reevaluate everything I used to do so often and publicly, such as going to the gym, sleeping in, having lunch with friends, a platonic single man, etc. I can't help but wonder whether he would approve of this or if doing so would make him angry. I also find myself checking my phone all the time because I'm afraid I may take too long to respond to his messages. If I was working out, talking to someone else, or otherwise preoccupied at work, or if he happens to phone and I don't answer, in case he becomes agitated and loses his temper, etc. Oop elaborates on the connection in the comments. Although he has never used physical force, he becomes quite enraged and yells to vent his frustration. It really annoys and bothers me since I think that instead of screaming and losing one's temper, problems can always be handled by quietly discussing and working through them. Next weekend, I'm going to have lunch and go hiking with a buddy who is a platonic male. Even this has made me nervous about whether my ex would object if I tell him that I would also want to spend the weekend with someone else, preferably a male. You're true. I once ran into a buddy of mine that I hadn't seen in a while when we were out. I waved and grinned. As soon as we had passed, X turned to me and began making all kinds of statements like I'm better looking than him. In any case, I drive a better vehicle. My family and background are probably superior than his. He also remarked that while I was on a date with my boyfriend, it was rude of me to become enthusiastic about another man. Update. Despite my better judgment, I spoke with my ex after reevaluating the relationship after posting the post. I made the decision to try him again. Anyway, I'll go on to the event that was the last nail in the coffin. In order to get an early start on the weekend, I asked last Sunday if we might get together on Friday night. In response, he said he would update me on how his schedule permitted it. A group of close friends invited me to dinner on Friday, which I accepted on Monday. I thought that things were still up in the air with X since he hadn't confirmed his schedule with me yet. So I accepted the offer. I told X that I would be seeing him a few hours later than I had originally proposed since I would be having dinner with my friends. He lost it on me. On the phone, he shouted and yelled at me, calling me a jerk and demanding to know who I was meeting who was so important. He inquired as to whether spending time with my significant other was more important to me than having a pointless meal with pals. Of course I value my SOS. I said, I did. However, also appreciate having other people in my life. I could go date those folks, he said. He continued by saying that I was jerking him about and that I was really disrespectful to his time, since it was just Monday and the invitation was for Friday. I informed him that I didn't see how it could be considered disrespectful of his time. In order for him to schedule his time for those few hours, I kept him informed about the meal well in advance. It was not like I was canceling on him or even rescheduling at the last minute. I informed him that I believed we weren't confirmed since he hadn't spoken to me about his availability. So I accepted the invitation. I also explained to him that I didn't understand why he was being so extreme since, in my opinion, it wouldn't be a huge concern if I made arrangements with someone for the whole weekend and they postponed it by a few hours for whatever reason. Enjoy yourself with my friends, he said, adding that he hoped the meal would be worth the price of our relationship. All right, I said. However, we're getting together later this week to return some items that we still have in each other's homes. Next story. Without asking, my fiancée got a large tattoo of my dad's sibling. She accused me of burning her with hot food and destroying our kitchen in a fit of fury when I expressed that it made me uncomfortable. I eventually left. To put things in perspective, my elder brother, who is 30M and I am 29M, died in a motorbike accident 3 years ago. This still really messes me up. Even though he was older, he was never the classic big brother bully sort. And I like that about him. He was my closest buddy. And we had that entire unbreakable bond because we understood each other's types. In any case, my fiancée, Bella, who is 28 Farads, has met him just a few times but has always expressed her admiration for our relationship since she doesn't have any biological siblings. They're not near. Yet they just step. Bella shocked me a few weeks ago by getting a tattoo in remembrance of my brother. On her upper arm is this lovely, large realistic grayscale tattoo of his face with a little Snoopy emblem next to it. It includes his nickname that we use, as well as the dates of his birth and death. I was astounded to see this. She said that she did it in support of me and as an homage to him. BC is aware of my ongoing bereavement struggles. At first, I really didn't know what to say. But the more I thought about it, the more I found it bothersome. Sincerely, I informed her that while I was grateful for the gift, I was somewhat uncomfortable with the tattoo. His face on my fiancé's body is kind of creepy. It's excessive, particularly considering how little they knew one another. She became agitated and accused me of making her feel bad about a kind act and making her regret doing something lovely. What she said, my mother believes I should simply be grateful that someone loved my brother enough to honor him, even if she is now distant. I didn't ask her to do this. However, to start, my brother's beautiful black and gray eyes stare at me while I sleep next to her, and my fiancée refuses to even speak to me properly. Furthermore, I can't even begin to imagine how terrible it would be to have segs on her arm. Am I being a jerk or unreasonable? Is it okay for me to request that she cover it up or take it off? Extra details from Op. I'm providing a few more things since I'm not sure how to reply to each person separately. Both my fiancée and I have several tattoos. She has larger ones, while I have smaller ones. To the best of my knowledge, none of us is taking any kind of medicine, nor are we mentally unwell in any way. It's unbelievable that I must write this. She has also begun wearing longer sleeved shirts throughout the day since I reacted to it. She has to do it at work anyway. But she also has to do it at home. It aches physically. And I only really notice it when she's wearing tanks before bed. LOL. One update. Hello everyone. I'm not sure whether anybody is interested in this. But for those who are, here's an update on the issue. LOL. I sat down with my fiancé and we spoke about the tattoo once again after breakfast this morning at approximately 7:30. It is 1034 as I type this. By the way, I essentially repeated every remark I've gotten. Which, incidentally, I'm very appreciative of overall since some of them were insane. In any case, I really believe that she didn't do this maliciously. So, I informed her once again that the tattoo made me very uncomfortable and wasn't the step she needed to take to console or assist me on my grieving process. She was silent at first. But when she begged to explain herself, I replied I would listen. In summary, she said that she got the tattoo because she believed it would represent the lengths she would go to in order to love and support me. And that way, I would have both of the people I love the most in one location. Her words. Not mine. She did apologize and stated that if she had known I wouldn't have liked it, she wouldn't have done it. She told me that it wouldn't have been a surprise at the time, which is what she intended it to be. When I questioned why she hadn't discussed it with me earlier, she added that the tattoo was intended to be a sign of a fresh start since we're getting married in a few months and she wanted to flip over old leaves. I'm recalling this now and cringing inside as I type this. Haha. What she meant is still a mystery to me. Any word sleuths who could assist me with this would be much appreciated. I concluded by saying that she needed to either cover it up or laser it off. And she was, to put it mildly, not very pleased about it. I didn't want to break up with her over this. And I really wanted to go on. Said that a cover-up would be too difficult and time-consuming. According to the films, said, laser may cause discomfort and seem frightening. She said that she liked the way the tattoo complements her other ones and asked whether I would mind if she just covered it up with foundation or clothing. I tried to be as firm as I could. Admittedly, I'm soft since I've been in a relationship with this lady for 5 years in a row. But I reaffirmed my desire to get it removed, either by laser or cover up. To be honest, and the talk stopped there since she was silent at the time. She left for work at 1000. And after I finish this, I'm going to start working on my own project since I work from home. In any case, I hope this works well and would be grateful for any guidance. We'll hopefully keep this updated. But I will prioritize our contact first, since I saw a remark that humiliated me for posting this on Reddit rather than talking to her first. I appreciate all of your assistance so far. Second update. It's the end. She and I are no longer together. Other than trying to find some closure and perhaps some support, I have no idea why I'm writing this. I've read a lot of comments this morning. And although neither I nor anybody else expected things to go as planned, I've made my choice. Even though I'm finding it difficult to accept, I made sure to prepare supper when Bella got home from work last night and asked if we could have a conversation in the backyard afterward. I could begin eating, she added. But she would be a little late since she wanted time to relax and take a shower before dinner. After I nodded, and she walked upstairs while I ate the meal I had prepared while watching TV in the rear. About an hour later, she came down as I was finishing up and cleaning up from earlier. I offered to bring her a hot plate, and she accepted, saying she would have it on the sofa in our living room instead of the dining table in the kitchen, where I also ate. I carried it over to her after saying that was okay. She was seated when I handed it to her, and she put out her hand to accept it. I dropped it somehow, and the hot spag bowl splattered all over her. She simply began yelling at me after I apologized profusely and went to get her some water and tissues divided by towels. I want to be cautious how I express this because I don't want to come off like a victim. However, she began to accuse me of doing it intentionally and of punishing her for our morning chat as well as the tattoo in general. I quickly defended myself by bringing over some tissues and a moist cloth and saying that I knew I had a firm hold on the plate so I couldn't have done it on purpose. Additionally, I said that I would never escalate the tattoo problem like this, and that I always discussed it with her in a kind and collected manner. Everything else is a fog. But we got into a heated argument, and she flung everything at me and destroyed a lot of our glasses and plates. I mean, a lot of them. She even tried to remove a cabinet door in our kitchen, which was already in poor shape. After saying that this was the final straw and that I could no longer be with her, I went to my parents' place. I have not come back, nor have I answered any of her texts or calls. And if she breaks so many of the we purchased together, I really fear what she will do to my possessions. I haven't told my parents either, and I'm still at their place. However, I believe this to be it, since I don't sure whether I can concentrate on this while I have everything else to take care of. This could be the final update. I appreciate all of your feedback. They were very appreciated, and I never anticipated this result. To everyone who assisted, peace and love. I've spoken to relatives about it, and they begged me to attempt to have a last talk to fix things, but I turned them down. Depending on when she returns from work, we will either bring my belongings back tonight or tomorrow. I'll be bringing a buddy along. I appreciate all of your assistance, and I feel more at peace with my choice today.